Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. So, if you're a university student staring down a massive mountain of human resources assignments, feeling totally overwhelmed by complex rubrics and endless terminology, or, if you've ever used an HR textbook as a makeshift pillow during a late night cram session, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're decoding the intricacies of HR studies and looking at the pathways to academic success, all based on our source material. Let's dive right in. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with 1, the challenge of HR, 2, core HR assignment topics, 3, steps to write your paper, 4, the professional help option, and 5, real student experiences. Starting off with Section 1, the challenge of HR, more than just hiring. Let's be honest, studying human resources is incredibly demanding. The source defines human resource as a team inside a company responsible for identifying, assessing, and hiring potential employees to boost efficiency. And while that sounds pretty straightforward on paper, students actually find this subject incredibly tough to absorb. Why? Well, because the concepts are built in this very complicated, multi-layered way. There's just an absolute maze of specific terminology you have to learn, which can easily leave anyone feeling completely stressed out before they even type the first word of an essay. Because HR's overarching goal is better workplace conditions, right? You have to think about the entire life cycle of an employee. That means establishing a healthy workplace from day one, actively mentoring personnel so they reach their potential, mapping out their progression and well-being, scheduling human requirements, and on top of all that, handling strict policy implementation. Literally any one of those components could easily be a dense 3,000-word essay on its own. Moving to Section 2, core HR assignment topics, navigating the academic maze. This enormous diversity of subject matter is exactly why writing an HR assignment is no walk in the park. You aren't just learning to hire people. You're expected to master a huge list of major topics, things like hiring and interviewing, learning and progressing, regulation of performance, perks and reimbursement, strategy for the future, data analysis and interpretation, and HR systems engineering. Every single case study you encounter here is designed to prep you for real-world scenarios. You're basically being asked to solve complex corporate problems. And here is a huge pain point. HR is definitely not just about people skills anymore. The source notes, quite bluntly actually, that HR students often despise having to write assignments on data analytics. Why? Because they often need extensive, rigorous computation. I mean, if you wanted to do math all day, you would have majored in math, right? But in HR, you have to gather that data, evaluate it, and translate it into actual corporate strategy. To really hammer home the depth of analysis expected of you, let's compare two super complex areas. On one hand, you have strategy for the future, which involves constructing succession planning to avoid devastating repercussions when key staff quit. Your assignment has to figure out a watertight plan for that. Then compare that to HR systems engineering, which requires investigating software applications, evaluating manager methods, and closing operational efficiency gaps. Both of these require some seriously high-level critical thinking. Which brings us to Section 3, steps to write your paper, a strategic approach. If you're feeling the pressure, you absolutely need a methodical system. The source outlines the 6-step strategic formula. Step 1, get an overview of the topic. Step 2, strictly structure your paper so you can write faster. Step 3, write the major content. Step 4, include case studies. Step 5 is your conclusion, summarizing everything. And Step 6, which so many exhausted students skip, proofread. Following this exact flow keeps everything organized and your argument super sharp. Now for Step 4, including case studies, the source gives a really highly actionable tip. Don't just rely on dusty old textbooks. Uncover real-life, good human resources management by reading contemporary HR journals and established business magazines like Entrepreneur and Forbes. Bringing current, real-world examples into your papers is a game changer for showing professors you understand how these theories actually apply today. Next up is Section 4, the professional help option, My Assignments Pro. So what happens when the deadline is just way too tight and the rubric is overly complex? The source material outlines a done-for-you service for students facing this exact dilemma. And right off the bat, they highlight an offer of up to 50% off on every assignment. They explicitly position their price structure as reasonable, making the claim that even students on a very restricted budget should be able to afford the help. But a big question students have is, can you opt for HR assignment help to fulfill short and urgent deadlines? Like, can they handle a midnight panic? The source claims a resounding yes. They say they can handle the unexpected pressure of conflicting exams, promising to deliver quality work in shortened timeframes, from a few days down to just a few hours. And they back this up with several core guarantees focused on academic safety and convenience. They promise high-quality, customized solutions. A massive one here is the promise of 100% plagiarism-free content that is Turnitin and checked. Plus, they offer 24/7 availability, an affordable price structure, assignment tracking to see the progress of your order, and even free modifications if the delivered work needs tweaking. To show the scale of what they do, the source lists specific academic experts. Take a look at these numbers. Dr. Anna Frangu has a 5-star rating with over 2,870 orders completed in clinical nursing. Anastasia T. Fragalist handles business law with over 2,400 orders. Dylan O'Connell has nearly 2,000 in managerial accounting, and Xavier Greg Kagiat has over 2,300 in macroeconomics. It really highlights their vast cross-disciplinary experience. Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, Real Student Experiences, Global Social Proof. Let's look at how students globally are actually using this service based on the source's reviews. First, we have Mary Wilson from the UK. She says, I have been juggling part-time work and university at the same time. My Simons Pro handled everything from structure to referencing. That is so relatable. It just shows how the service steps in when students are stretched way too thin. Then we have Antoine Hanna from New Zealand, who says, finance is tough, and my university in New Zealand has very strict submission guidelines. It followed my university format exactly. This review is validating their claim that they can strictly adhere to highly specific, rigid university formatting rules. And finally, Gabrielle Finnegan from Australia shared, I genuinely struggled with my engineering assignment on thermodynamics. They delivered a technically strong and well-explained assignment right on time. This definitely demonstrates their capacity to handle incredibly complex technical topics under pressure. Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder. We've seen the monumental challenges these academic assignments present and the methodical steps you need to conquer them. So, based on what we've covered today, are you going to continue letting complex rubrics cause burnout, or is it time to rethink your strategy for academic success? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.